going to tell the story of the Velveteen Rabbit. This is a wonderful story that was originally written by Marjorie Williams. So if you want to get a copy of it for yourself, you can. But the way I remember this story is a long, long time ago. There was a little boy, and it was Christmas morning. And he got all these presents, and sitting on top of the presents was a stuffed rabbit, which at the time was called a Velveteen Rabbit. Now, it wasn't the most expensive toy, but he saw that first and thought this was wonderful and played with it. Then it was time to open all the other presents, and there were so many wonderful presents that he got distracted. And this happens. That's okay. Then after Christmas, his toys got put into his room and they all got put away. And after a little while, he needed a new stuffed animal to sleep with. So his nurse found the Velveteen Rabbit and said, "Here, sleep with this." And yes, this was perfect because he could snuggle with it and sleep in the bed with it. It was so great. And he would play with the Velveteen Rabbit, and he would make tunnels in the blanket so he can make the rabbit go through the tunnels just like a real rabbit. And with all the love in his heart, he would tell the rabbit, "You are a real rabbit." Now, sometimes during the day when the boy had to go to school or was away, the Velveteen Rabbit would talk to the other toys in the nursery and in the toy box. And one of the oldest toys there was a toy that was called the Skin Horse, because it had been loved so much and ridden on so much and played with so much that all his fur was worn off. So he looked like he was just made out of skin, but it was okay because all from love and playing. And the Skin Horse was the oldest toy in the nursery, and he would tell the Velveteen Rabbit and the other toys who were willing to listen that if they were loved enough, that they could become real, not just toys anymore, but actually real, like real rabbits and real horses and real kitties and real puppies. And all the animals and all the toys in the nursery thought this was wonderful. And the little boy continued to have the Velveteen Rabbit as his absolute favorite toy for so long. He would take him outside and play with him outside. Well, one time when he was playing with him outside, he had made a little cave for him, and he was called inside for dinner, and he forgot about the Velveteen Rabbit, and the Velveteen Rabbit was left outside. The Velveteen Rabbit wasn't sure what to do then, because here he's left outside, and then he saw some other rabbits, some real rabbits, come out and start hopping around. And they came up to him and said, "Sniff, sniff, what are you?" And he said, "I'm a rabbit." And they said, "Well, if you're a real rabbit, why don't you jump like us?" And they would jump, 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 jump. And he knew he couldn't really jump because he didn't have jumping feet. He just had a solid bottom. Okay. So he was very proud, but he was also ashamed because he didn't want to admit he wasn't a real rabbit, even though the boy said that he was. Then the nurse, because the boy said, "I can't go to sleep without my bunny. Please, nurse, go get my bunny." So the nurse went out into the garden and found the rabbit and brought him back in, and the little boy was happy. Then some more time passed, and the little boy became very, very sick. And he was very sick, and the rabbit stayed in the bed with him all the time, snuggling him and trying to make him feel better. And after a while, the little boy did get better. But this was at a time before immunizations for most things. Okay, so this was a long time ago. And then the boy got better, but it turned out he had gotten a thing that was called scarlet fever. Okay, this was very, very bad. But the boy was lucky because he managed to get better from it. And then after he was better, the doctor said, okay, now the boy has to go to the seaside for a while to help his lungs recover and to recover his strength. But the doctor also said, now everything in his room has to be burned, okay? All the bedding, the mattress, the pillows, even the toys. So even the Velveteen Rabbit. So they sent the little boy out, and he cried because he couldn't take his bunny with him. But the mother and father said, we will get you a new bunny when you get to the ocean, okay? And will be at least as wonderful as your old bunny. Because look, your old bunny is worn out, he's missing most of his whiskers, he's missing most of his fur. We'll get you a new bunny, okay? And you can love him at least as much as you loved your old one. So the little boy, because he still wasn't feeling very, very good and he was still sleepy, said, okay. And they went to the ocean, and then all things that were in the nursery were bundled up, including the Velveteen Rabbit, even though the Velveteen Rabbit tried to hide in the blankets so no one would find him. But they took him, and they took all the bedding and all the pillows and everything, and took it out into the backyard and put it in a pile, and they were getting ready to burn it. They were going to burn it the next morning. Then that night, the Velveteen Rabbit managed to wiggle out just a little bit, because he was trying to get away, because he knew what was going to happen. Well, he got out a little bit, and what ends up happening late at night, so late at night, it's almost early in the morning, is the blue fairy came. And the blue fairy came and saw that the Skin Horse and the Velveteen Rabbit and so many of the other toys had been so loved that she used her magic and she made them real. And then what ended up happening, at least for the Velveteen Rabbit, because he was still very shy, so the wild rabbits that had teased him before came around, and the blue fairy said, here's a new friend for you. You have to teach him to be a rabbit. And they said, come on, let's run, let's jump, let's play. And the Velveteen Rabbit found out that he could jump. And then he was a real rabbit. And this is the story of the Velveteen Rabbit. I hope you enjoyed it.